Start the.
Amazing. So, Rich, did we miss you last week? I feel like we did.
Uh, was it?
No,
No,
it was the one before. It was the
I
fourth.
missed a couple of weeks in a row. I missed.
But are you caught up?
Uh, on double speed, yes.
That's fine. Me on double speed. I imagine that's quite
Uh,
torturous,
Oh,
actually.
you know what? The worst thing on double speed, my kids absolutely love the David Walliams audio books.
right, yeah.
I can go upstairs and one will have it on double speed and the other one will have it on like normal speed. So I've got the boy in the dress coming up from different speeds, honestly.
David Williams. Love
I
it. Love
can't
it.
bear it.
Yeah, I know what you
I
mean.
find it nonsense.
Noise pollution.
Oh yeah.
How are you, Larissa?
Yeah, it's okay. You all right?
Are you enjoying the pre-season for Christmas?
Um, yes, I'm feeling very organized because I wrapped all of the presents on Saturday and put them under the Christmas tree. Woohoo!
I love that.
Well
I
done.
love that. And does everyone get excited and looking at them? Are either of your girls into that?
Yes, yes, I have to stop the little one from like shaking all of them and
It would be my big
trying to
one.
guess what's inside.
Oh, I love that so now you're literally like swanning around in the Christmas holidays with no stress because everything's done.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I've got like a big Christmas carol concert at church on Sunday, so I'm a bit like,
Okay.
once
Okay.
that's done, then yes, I'll be happy.
Oh, well done. That's amazing. Leanne, how are you? How's the Christmas preparations coming along?
Oh, oh, I thought I was on mute, but I'm not. Yeah, it's okay. I feel like we're nearly there. I'm finishing today, and then we're in full Christmas church mode. So yeah, to my
So,
other job.
oh yeah, bless you. Like finished term, no, haven't finished term, into the busy season.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it though. Oh, well done. That's great. And Carl's wearing an absolutely ace Christmas. That is like probably one of the best I've ever seen. Carl, where's this from? It just suits you so much.
Thank you very much. I have a massive collection of Christmas jumpers. You know, so-
Where's that one from?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. This is
Oh,
probably years old.
classic, vintage.
Good
Love
old.
it. I love that. I really want that one for my son. That's so nice. Alex, not wearing a Christmas jumper today, but are you in the Christmas spirit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love Christmas. So every morning while I'm making breakfast for the kids, I'm basically playing my Christmas playlist at full volume. So
What's your sort of favorite Christmas song for this year? What are you playing a lot?
so this is one we actually heard at our Christmas service, thanks to Larissa. It's a song called Ding Dong by the Rent Collective. And
Yeah.
boy, do the kids love that song. So that gets heard every single morning.
Ding dong, right. That's coming on to my playlist tomorrow morning. Kate, how about you? Anything Christmassy going on with you?
Yeah, I'm finishing on Friday, going home tomorrow. So we've got some fun festive plans with friends in the evening. So yeah, in full festive mode, I'm very excited.
When you say going home, where are you going?
Like to my family home, so back to Wales.
Oh, are you going to play Driving Home for Christmas?
Well, I'll be getting the train, but I might put it on
Put it
nonetheless,
on
just
on those
for, yeah,
headphones.
exactly.
Oh, it's so good. I will be playing that on Sunday. We're going up north to my family
Um,
home in Cheshire, and that song will come on, and I will just be literally, no matter what's going on in the back of the car, I'm just going to be like in my happy Wonderland place. Sarah, how about you? Are you a Christmassy person? You getting excited?
Excited when I finished work.
Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'm sat in reception, so it's just a bit manic here. I'll be sat in, I'll be excited when I finish work, and that won't be till
Yes.
next week. I've just got so much going on. So, yeah, I mean, I do like Christmas. I'm not a bat humbug or anything, but it's just like just gets so stressful, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good note for us to dive in today, because we're hoping that we can really find some really good tips here and a few little interventions to help us to have an even better Christmas. It's brilliant timing for us to look at weapons and triggers as we come into the Christmas holidays, because I don't know about you, but if there's ever a time most likely for me to be triggered, it would be the Christmas holidays with my nearest and dearest, particularly that kind of birth family, that wider family around whom we all can rotate during Christmas time. So without further ado, let me give you the sort of thought mindset for today. And here's from Proverbs 14:1, and I've paraphrased it slightly for our leadership speak. A wise woman or an intentional person builds their house carefully, but a foolish woman or an accidental person tears it down with their own hands. A wise woman, intentional person, builds their house carefully, but a foolish woman, accidental person, tears it down with their own hands. Now, what does that mean in the context of voices, weapons, and triggers? Well, it means that we can often spend very careful time building up relationships. That's what I'm talking about in particular here. We build our relationships carefully. We think about how we can liberate the other person. We know what they need, their love languages and so on. And we are very careful about making sure that they have what they need in the relationship. But then in a moment of madness, or in a moment where we're triggered, a moment of stress, things just overcome us, in that aggressive of passive aggressive, we can suddenly tear it down. We can do a lot of damage in one deployment of our weapon system. All of the voices can. Some voices have more impact than others in the moment, but it's something for us just to be aware of. And if we can be forewarned, we can be forearmed, or rather we can disarm ahead of time. So we keep our safety catches on. And I'm going to be giving you a deep dive in the weapons today. You may have heard this before, but there will be some extra insights I'm going to add in today, particularly around the area of triggers and where we apply the teaching today. So let's dive in with that, just that sense of recognizing that we all have a weapon system. Now, remember, we all have access to all 5 voices, and our personality is that combination of nature, nurture, and choice. So our weapon might not align exactly with our voice. That's okay. We may have adopted someone else's weapon system because it seemed to be more effective, or it seemed to be more socially acceptable than our own. So have a little think as you go through afresh, and you've hopefully already done the preparation. Which are the 2 weapons that are your go-to weapons you reach for when things are a bit stressful or when you're caught off guard? So first weapon is the pioneer weapon. It's massive. Why? Because the pioneer is wired for impact on a large scale. So when the pioneer gets stressed, then they can let off this grenade launcher. And what does it look like? It looks like taking out the entire room. It looks like taking out your entire family or your entire team all at once. And let me give you a domestic example. I'm a pioneer. This looks like for me when I spend a lot of time helping the home be a really lovely place. It's clear, it's tidy, it's warm, it's friendly, there's good food. There's nice places to come home to when you get home. But when I feel over time my family aren't doing their bit, they aren't putting their shoes away, they aren't hanging up their clothes, they aren't taking their stuff and putting it away, or they aren't decluttering, and there's just suddenly a lot of clutter around. And I've been working really hard. Right before everyone's trying to get out to work, early in the morning, I can let off that grenade. And it looks a bit like this. It's like, nobody else cares about the state of this house except me. No one else is pulling their weight. You're all being really messy. And I will do these big sweeping statements. It's not fair. You're leaving this all to me. And I can do these big things because I've been quiet for a long time, perhaps in protect mode. And then suddenly I'll dash into the dominate quadrant of the support challenge matrix and let off my grenade launcher. So that's what the pioneer's weapon can look like. And it's an inversion of a strength. So what about the connector? Well, the connector's strengths are feeling those subtleties in the emotional, relational opportunity context of the room and of the group and of the world itself. They can sense things. So what do they do when they're triggered? They can drip in quietly in a sort of sensing sort of way how they feel about someone. So that someone says something they don't like, or they neglect to thank the connector or recognize what they've done, and then the connector can feel quite aggrieved. And instead of bringing that challenge, liberating, calibrating support and challenge, they'll go to someone else, particularly it might be someone else who already has a bit of a beef with the same person, and they'll say, oh, this is what's happened there. Or I used to have someone growing up who used to say, I'm not being funny, but, and then they'd say something about someone else. It was that phrase, I'm not being funny, but. So it's those hints, those little tips. So dropping things in, and this can be really deadly. Remember, at their best, the connector drops in ideas and opportunities for people very generously, shares their ideas, and they can share also a little bit of poison about somebody, and that can be absolutely deadly. It's much cleverer and more subtle than the pioneer's weapon, but it's no less deadly. That's what the connector can do, and that we can do when we engage in cyber warfare, perhaps a bit more socially acceptable than losing our cool with the team. Now, what about the Guardian? The Guardian's strength is their ability to ask the important questions. So when they get stressed or triggered, or they feel something isn't safe, or resources haven't been clearly stewarded, then they can suddenly go into this interrogation mode. And that's really, really off-putting for the person in front. The person in front just suddenly feels like they're not a person, but they are a machine being interrogated, with question after question being peppered against them. And all the relational capital that Guardian has intentionally sought to build can suddenly be gone in a moment. And after that, after someone has suffered that from the Guardian, they're going to be extremely unlikely to ever want to sit in a room with that Guardian again and have a nice drink, because they're going to worry that that's going to happen again. So that's what the Guardian can do when they are feeling triggered. Then we have the two creatives. Creative thinker is the sniper rifle. Okay, so what the creative does at their best is they focus in on something to make sure they can bring that laser sharp attention and focus. So imagine an amazing eye surgeon removing unhealthy cells from the eye to make sure that the sight is improved with that eye. They never want to take out any healthy cells. They just want to take out the unhealthy cells. So whereas the pioneer will take out the whole team, creative, the sniper, the creative thinker, will be looking for who has let us down here, going around the room. Okay, our results are down this month. Someone's let the side down. Who is it? They might be discussing it out. They'll often be quiet initially. They'll wait, and then they'll pounce. Just that one's being taken out. Out they go. And of course, if that's done, I mean, sometimes that can be very helpful. But if that's done in an inappropriate, unprofessional way, it can appear cruel, it can appear cold, it can appear calloused as well. And that will lose influence with the entire team. In contrast, the creative feeler, that's the creative connector, can hulk out. And the hulk is the aggressive of passive aggressive. So usually that feeler voice is always thinking about relational harmony and will prioritize relational harmony, even over truth and justice at times. So if they're always thinking about relational harmony, they'll usually hold back and won't bring challenge, even when they're feeling, oh, my value has been violated there, or that person wasn't treated very well there. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And then after time, suddenly it's too much. I can no longer bear it. And suddenly the Hulk will come out, and that person can be out of control. Objects might become flying around. And once the person starts to make that transition into the Hulk, you start to see the kind of biceps bulging and the green color coming in. There is no going back. Get out of the way. Don't try and calm them down. Don't try and placate them. Just remove yourself from that context. Let them get it over with. And then afterwards, they'll be feeling very upset, tired, meek and mild afterwards as well. And it's hard for them to come back from a moment where they have hulked out. But they need a safe place to do it occasionally. So is that you occasionally when your passive doesn't work? That leads us on then to the final one, which is the nurture. Now, the nurturer's gift is practical help, attention to detail, knowing how that person in front of them implicitly feels and being able to meet their need with practical help. But when the nurturer feels violated, when they feel as though someone has done something that has left them overlooked, or taken for granted or has hurt someone they care about, they can literally withhold care. All the emotion goes away from that relationship. There may still be transaction. They may still show up in the practical ways, do the work, but there's no warmth. It's the equivalent of being used to having a card for your birthday with lots of lovely things in it from that nurturer friend. And then suddenly, the next time it's your birthday, you get a card to Laura from Bob. That's it. It's like that with the messages. It's like that with any interactions. All of that warmth and emotion has gone out, and they stop being that person making the move towards you. And that can be really deadly, nurturers. I think sometimes this is underplayed slightly, but I know, having been on the other side of a nurturer withholding care, that it can be very manipulative. And it can be really, really upsetting for the person who doesn't have the same relational sensitivity that the nurturer has to know exactly why and how they have offended. So please, nurturers, at that point, we need to move into that liberation quadrant and bring challenge. You'll do it well, because that's not fair if the person doesn't realise what they've got wrong and doesn't have the opportunity to make amends. So those are the weapons, and probably we're all feeling a bit sad at this point because we know we've done them. Hopefully you've been able to pick which two you've done. There is no judgment. Everybody has got this wrong at some point. The important thing is for us to move ahead with more empowerment. That's the idea. So what do we do next? Well, we need to think about our triggers. So this is energizing. So I want you to take out your camera or take a screenshot right now of this little summary of when each of the voices is most likely to let off a weapon of some kind, one or t'other of your top two weapons. So record these. And then what we're going to do is we're going to then use the stress triggers summary and also what you learned from your altitude sessions to come up with when you're most likely to use it. So has everybody, give me a thumbs up if you've recorded that. You've got, hopefully everyone has, or every group will have. Great. Let's dive then right back into the group. And I'm going to set you 2 questions for your breakouts before I offer any questions. So number 1, which are the 2 weapons that you are most likely to reach for in a moment of stress? And number 2, which triggers are those that most speak to you? When are you most likely to deploy one of your weapons? What will trigger you? So see if you can come up with a short list of the triggers that are most sort of resonant for you today. Any questions on weapons or triggers before we go into our breakouts? No, Claire, anything from you, or are we good to head straight in?
I didn't double check. I don't think anyone is in the same room, but can I just check there's no one? It would only be Carl and Sarah, I guess, but okay, good. I will open the rooms.
Thank you. See you all on the other side.
Just make sure.
For us, very similar. So we both kind of resonated more with the nurturer and guardian voices, the withdrawal of care and interrogation chamber weapons.
Yeah.
Although I don't like the sound of that weapon choice for the guardian there, but I could kind of see myself doing it a little bit if I'm being honest. But
good on you. Yeah.
I think for me, like, if something goes wrong or, a trigger happens or whatever, I could either go, all right, I don't care anymore, or I could just be like, right, I need to ask loads of questions to try and understand what's going wrong. I'm quite black and white with most things, but, I like to know the full picture really, so sometimes I could just be like asking a bunch of questions to understand something, and it might feel like interrogation, I guess, but yeah.
But your main weapon of choice is the withholding of care one. Is just gonna avoid that.
Yeah, it just depends on the circumstance, I think, really. But I have seen myself kind of go, right, well, F it, I don't, whatever, that's fine. Yeah. You do you.
Yeah, and walk away. And actually, it's worth saying that there are some contexts where that is appropriate. For example, in abusive situations where it's important to leave well alone and to move away, but actually to make sure that situation is dealt with by somebody else. Good. But what I'm hearing there, Carl, is I'm hearing the abdicate quadrant. Right. Let's just make a little connection here, between the passive
Mhm.
of passive aggressive. The withdrawal of care is the passive, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's also the abdicate of the support challenge matrix. It's letting go of the support, but not bring any challenge either. And actually, that can lead to that apathy, and that relationship's just going to die. Remember, the abdicate quadrant is grey for death, for decay.
Oh, yeah.
So things just die, and you may all be able to think of relationships where you've kind of let well alone and you've moved away, and actually that person hasn't really done the work to try to find out what was wrong, and you haven't done the work to bring the challenge, and therefore it's decayed and dried up, and that can be really bad. It can be really, really tragic. It can sometimes be a natural part of relationships as well to move away. Kate, you said that was similar for you.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, obviously my main voice is nurturer guardian, but in terms of like my weapon style, I did actually relate more to the withholding of care, the nurturer one, rather than guardian. Although I suppose I might do it, but I think I am aware perhaps more of my tendency to withhold care. But yeah, it was just sort of sharing with Carl. I think sometimes for me it's a case of like, because I am generally someone who like puts a lot of like care and heart into things, whether that's at work or relationships. I think for me, if I feel like I've continued to try hard to sort of nurture that, and then it's continually not reciprocated or appreciated, then it's almost like when I'm triggered, then I sort of go the opposite end of like, oh, well, I shouldn't bother at all, or like, oh, I've put all that effort in and people aren't sort of doing the same back, basically. And I know obviously that is bad way to think, but that is like, if I'm being honest, that is sort of my that negative trait, I suppose.
I applaud your honesty, Kate. That's wonderful. Rich, is that the same for you as a fellow nurturer?
I I probably sit more in and around interrogation, but with withdrawal, I was saying to Sarah, it would be more like I just disengage from I wouldn't withdraw care. I still care for the person, but I just disengage from the conversation internally. So, it, and that's probably if I've perceived challenge as personal criticism. So, I need to work. Yeah, I do work on understanding that it's not. But then the trigger for me is around incompetence, or if someone's just not given it proper effort, if it's just or that they've clearly just bodged it, I will then interrogate that because you're wasting everyone's time, and I don't have time for that. So I'd rather you just don't turn up.
And you can kind of almost combine the two, perhaps, and cut them off.
You could become a bit disengaged and then just be a lawyer.
Yeah.
This is why this is rubbish.
Dead to me.
Yeah.
I'm interrogating you, but you haven't stood up to it, so we're done.
But at home I'm the Hulk. So
Yeah.
that would be that would never come out at work, but at home with the kids, they'll bring out the Hulk.
Yeah. And creative is your second voice, is that right, Rich? Or
yeah.
Nurture creative. So you've found that the interrogation chamber perhaps is a bit more socially acceptable than the Hulk at work.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, I love this, Rich. Honesty is great. Larissa, you're laughing. What have you realized so far about yourself, or what do you know?
I was laughing because the list, so as a pioneer, the list resonated with me. Actually similar to Rich. So perceived incompetence in others. I liked the word perceived because for me it's like just blatant incompetence in other people.
Yes.
People challenging my competence, I definitely don't like that. And time wasting. I cannot stand going to meetings where people just waffle about nothing. So yes, they definitely resonated with me. I think the grenade launcher thing, not typically a massively ragey person, so I don't tend to kind of deploy that too much. It's also not overly socially acceptable at work to fire a grenade launcher. But I definitely will kind of, if I feel like people are being incompetent, I just won't bother talking to them. And that's generally the way. I guess it's a bit that sort of withdrawal of care thing as well. It's like, I don't feel like these people are being helpful, so I'm just not going to spend a lot of time investing my energy into that relationship. And I think that's probably that's how it tends to come out at work.
Yeah, really good. And has that ever been overly hasty, or do you think that's always been completely deserved and rational and carefully thought through?
Generally got quite a good radar, I would say.
So you're not reaching for that grenade, but you are aware that actually sometimes there are, standards and boundaries that need to be observed. And I think that's what we are saying. You keep remembering support challenge matrix. Nobody is saying be a protector and keep offering your support without any challenge. No one is saying that. So please don't hear that.
I think it's helpful as well to kind of recognize those things within yourself and then have a way that you can kind of vent to somebody else as like a sort of pressure valve about it. Like everyone gets to that point where they're very frustrated about particular things, but you kind of need that safe person that you can vent to about it, and kind of let off steam in a healthy way, knowing that it's not going to go any further or not going to affect anybody else. I think that's a kind of helpful part of the process as well.
I think that's a brilliant tip, Larissa, and that just moves us really nicely onto the next part where we look at core process and we look at actually getting something done. And if you haven't spoken yet, I will be calling on you after the next breakout. So let's go back to where we were before. And we're thinking about the stress triggers. And so getting clear on our stress triggers is just incredibly helpful, especially right now as we think about coming into Christmas. So what we've hopefully done is gone, these are the times when I am most likely to let off a weapon or to be accidental and to tear down the house or the relationship that I've carefully built. So if we're aware of that, we need to also be thinking, okay, with whom? So it's been really helpful also to see a difference in terms of how you show up in your family. So Rich said I can be the Hulk at home when I'm triggered, but with the team, if I'm triggered, it's more likely to be the interrogation chamber. So matching a weapon to a particular circle of influence as well is another layer of self-awareness that we want to get into. Look at the other layers though too, and just ask yourself, do I ever show up within the organisation as a whole? With Bible Society where I'm working, can I be the cyber warfare person that's just sniping or making little comments about things that I don't really like? Or what about with the community as well? Am I likely to show up in a poor way? A few years ago, we had a Christmas fair on the street with people in their driveways having different things. And one of the neighbours actually let off a grenade launcher at another neighbour and didn't speak to them for the next 3 years. So, that was just showing up in the community in a way that was obviously triggered by various different things. So I think we can also, if we're aware of it, show up accidentally with community ring too. So think about the circles and perhaps hone in on one of those in particular. What weapon am I using? Why am I using it? What's my trigger? And with which circle of influence? And once we get clear on that, which we've just done, we can now start to say, what can I put in place? What pattern change, what intervention can I make that will actually make a difference to how I show up? So this is where we think about the stress busters. So once again, take out your camera or take a screenshot. This is not an exhaustive list at all. And you don't have to match your voices to these particular stress busters. You may look at one of the other lists there and say, actually, I'm going to take that from there, even though it's my fourth or my fifth voice, that's fine. But these are some suggestions for what you can schedule in. And this is the key, is with core process, I'm often taking out my calendar and I'm putting something into the diary. And especially over the Christmas holidays, when we can think, right, let's have a sort of cessation of all activity. I'm just going to go with the flow. No, that's accidental. What do you need in order to be able to show up healthily over the Christmas period. So take out a camera, make a list of those things. Give me a thumbs up if you've got that list. You've got a photograph or you've got a screenshot. Great. So capture those and then take it through the core process. This is where we get clear. Okay, which context am I most likely? So let's call it, when am I most likely to set off a weapon? What weapon am I going to use? And own it. What am I doing or not doing that is feeding in to that being the case and that being the way that I show up? So my triggers are tired, run down, bored, too busy, or not processing enough with the right people. Those are my triggers. And when I thought about that bored one, I thought, my work gives me a lot of stimulus that is positive. It's competitive in a sense of I always want to improve, and that really helps give me a release and an outlet that feels sort of competitive and feels like I'm taking ground. So when I have a massive break over Christmas, if I'm too liberal with that break I give myself from work altogether, I can start to get a bit twitchy and a bit bored. So much better if I actually have some days off, and those days are break days. I won't work on the days that are off. But then also go and schedule a bit of admin time, a bit of work time, maybe go and write a blog, go and do something creative on my own, take myself off. Okay, I'm going to the coffee shop on that morning, James. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. Do a bit of tag team with the kids. But off I go and I get what I need in order to energize. So look at your diary, look at your schedule. What can you do that can move you to a place where you are making sure that you have some execution points for the Christmas period, or even into January when you're back at work as well, where you're making sure that you're not going to become overly triggered. Okay, what are the conditions that trigger you or that lead you to show up accidentally? And how can you show up differently? What can you put in place? What's one thing? And I'd love everybody to get to one next step for how they can make sure that they are remaining stress busted, not stress triggered over the holes. Okay, so that's your next task in your breakout, is to think about a stress buster, maybe come up with one or two. What are your two top stress busters? And then really coach each other here. When are you going to make sure those things happen over the next 2 or 3 weeks before we meet again? Is that clear? Any questions? Okay, see you in a minute. Can't wait to hear your next steps and your top tips. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Leanne, I'm coming to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we haven't heard from you yet. So we need to know your weapons, your triggers, and your intervention.
Okay. Weapons, I definitely am a typical pioneer in that I will just fly off the handle at some point. I feel like it takes quite a lot, but then it's not pretty. I did that this week at work, so that feels quite timely. Interesting. We did also talk a little bit about just being a parent leading to hulking out, even though that's probably not my natural tendency. I do think there is something about small people constantly touching you and shouting for things that tends to result in the just total loss of any sort of self-control. But yeah, stress busting.
The men are nodding along in agreement with this, because that was one of the part of our conversation, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think there is something specific to being a mom about just the mental load as well, like the just incredible amount of information that needs to be comprehended every 3 seconds because of everyone's schedules and moving parts. I do think that does push me further to the limit than most things. And then in terms of stress busting things, I was saying it's interesting because I don't think I am a typical pioneer in that one, in that I'm not competitive at all. Like, being competitive doesn't appeal to me really. I'd probably lean more into the creative stress busting things. So finding something that's like painting or sewing or and I think that the tricky thing for me there is to not turn those things into another task to do.
Yes.
Because I will often start a sewing project because I want to do it, and then I get annoyed that it's not done, and then it becomes just another thing to go on the to-do list that I have to get done, and that itself then becomes stressful. So I think it's just finding the line, really.
Really good. So what I'm hearing there is that you need a combination of some activities that are creative for yourself away from the children, but that aren't tasks, that are slowed down. And I think one thing, and Larissa may well associate with this as well, us pioneer women have to be careful of, is not to just have other pioneer women friends. We do need them. We need other people who can go at our pace and speed, but we also need other types of friends who are just slow us down and who actually bring more care to the conversation and just can really stop us. So, paint it yourself poshery, for example, with a friend who can help me get into that gear I need to be in, because I'm not very good at being in it sometimes, and just slowing down and smelling the coffee. That can be really lovely as well. So that would be for me, Leanne. What are you going to do over the next 3 weeks for you that slows you down, that helps you to smell the coffee, or be creative?
Yeah, I didn't really land that, but I will think about it, I promise.
Yes. And even if you don't know exactly what it's going to be, putting in some time, booking it in with your other half and saying, oh, I've noticed that on the 28th, there's nothing planned in the diary for that afternoon. Can I just have some time to myself? Just put it in. And then if anyone says, are you around on the 28th? You've got an appointment in the diary. No one needs to know it's with yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
It's an important appointment. You keep it. Okay. I love it. That's so good. Alex, let's come to you next, please.
Yeah, so I do have a tendency as a nurture connector typey person to do the pullback thing. And one of the reasons I do that often is simply because I haven't had a chance to externalize what I'm feeling and thinking. And so it's quite easy to abdicate and to be the hermit and to pull back. And things that help with that is being more intentional about talking to somebody, even if it's just for 5 minutes, about whatever the situation is. And just those 5 minutes can immediately make me go, right, okay, feel more, more objective, get a better sense of perspective. It just lightens, I don't know, lightens the load on my shoulders and gets me out of my head. So it's being intentional about those 5 minutes of chatting to someone.
So good. And thinking through who that person is ahead of time. Because what's the difference between having a person to talk to about something and cyber warfare? Any ideas? And there's no exact answer here. It's not a trick question. Anyone got any ideas? What's the difference between cyber warfare and talking to someone? Kate?
I was going to say, I think with cyber warfare, it's almost like you've not intentionally gone into that conversation to like externally process. You've just ended up sort of complaining or gossiping because you actually have an issue, but you haven't gone to someone who you know you can share it well with.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then, like, really, you need to actually address someone you can share it with and say, I don't want this to be like a complaining or gossiping, but this is actually upsetting me or causing me stress. So I do really appreciate your listening ear or potentially support of like solutions, rather than, oh, quick offload because actually I'm bothered, but I just haven't really gone through it in a thoughtful way, maybe.
I love it. So 3 things there, Kate. I think that's a brilliant answer. Motive. What's my motive for talking to this person? And if it's as Alex has said, to get clarity so I know what my next step is, what a good motive. Number 2, that you have actually signposted what you're doing with that person. I don't really want this to go any further and I'm not trying to sabotage that person, but can you help me understand really what's fair in what I'm feeling and what I'm missing? To signpost it in that way is great. And then number 3, who you pick, who you choose is a massive indicator, isn't it, of what your motive is. So those 3 things. Kate, what a great answer. Thank you for that. Really good. Alex, lovely. Sarah, how about you?
Okay, so I found it quite interesting on the first one. A lot of people had similar things, and you never asked me. So I find I can get just so wrapped up in the busyness of life. The littlest thing make that volcano go off, especially at home. I have adult kids, and they really do my head in. Sorry, those that have got youngsters, but it don't get any better. All right, they're like, such stupid comments. And I've tried this new approach. Let them. Let them. So if they come out with something stupid, I just let them get on with it rather than go, woof, that's it, I'm off. Because they'll say, oh, you get so irritated with us. And I'm thinking, well, why do I get irritated with you? So I've tried this let them approach with them, and it's better. I'm not going to let them irritate me. I'm not going to let them stress me out over things. My son is getting married next year, and he wears clothes for 30 seconds and they go in the washing basket. And for me, that just really stresses me. I'm a full-time working mum. I've got a house to deal with as well. Got an amazing husband. And I constantly go on him about his washing. And Chloe just says to me, don't do it. Just leave it in the washing basket. And I've done that approach, and it works because it just doesn't get done. And he says to me, have you washed so-and-so? And I'm, no, I haven't. Why not? Oh, well, I've worked. I haven't got time. Well, I've worked as well. I don't care that you've worked, Dan. It's your washing. You deal with it. And I've gone with that approach, and it's making life much better. So it is at home. So I've done that, the let them, and I also knit as well. So my stress bust, I sit down, knit, and have time to myself, and I don't talk to anybody when I knit. I'm so focused. I just poof over my head.
Love it. So that's so good. And actually, what you're doing there is helpful for Dan's future wife. Is it Dan and Chloe? Is that right?
No, Dan and Emily.
Dan and Emily, right. So Chloe's your daughter. Chloe's someone else.
Yeah, Chloe's my daughter. Emily's my future daughter-in-law.
Yeah. So the nurturer can sometimes find it hard to put in challenge or boundaries for themselves. So sometimes it can be helpful for you to think about the impact on others. So if he goes and gets married and he's expecting his wife to do his laundry for him, that's not great. So you've got this year now to help prepare him for marriage. So do it for Emily's sake, if not for your own. If not for your own. Well done. There's some great ideas there, and knitting as well. Having that in mind, having it with you, knowing when you can escape, especially if you're spending Christmas or any part of the Christmas holiday, staying with relatives or sharing a house somewhere with other people, is giving yourself permission to go off and do the thing you need to do, whether that's going to read, find a sort of place out of the way of everyone, or going off for a walk. Doing that for yourself as well, thinking ahead, putting it in the diary ahead so you don't get stressed out and run out of energy as well. Rich, did you have a next step in mind?
So running is my stress buster, and by myself, not with people. Don't want to be with people then. And walking the dog. We drive to my in-laws in Scotland tomorrow. It is a challenging time at their house. I need to balance giving myself space and protecting my wife and giving her the space she needs. So I will take on some stress so she takes on a bit less. But yes.
That's amazing. So that's brilliant, Rich. And it's a great note to end on, is how can we multiply this teaching for those we love as well? So how can we release ourselves and release our nearest and dearest to be able to get the sort of stress busters they need as well? So have that conversation. It'll be great. What actually gives you life? And notice the way they respond. Notice how they come to life when they talk about their hobby, their reading, their music, their running, whatever it is, and say, right, it's really important that you do that over the holidays. As you release them, they will also begin to release you even more too. So that's wonderful. We'll leave it on that note. But before we go, Claire, anything from you?
Just a quick reminder. So the nourishing rest is what Laura and I were talking about yesterday. So is what I'm doing to get my stress busting. Is it actually nourishing? It's not something accidental like doom scrolling.
So good. And is it nourishing for you? Just how your partner rests might not be the same as how you rest. Okay, that might not be, or they might really want to go to the pub with a whole bunch of friends and you're thinking, I don't want that at all. So how can you make sure you each get what you need? Yeah, Carl.
When I think it's Claire, isn't it? You send like a little roundup of can you just include what session we should do up to next on the Giant website before next session? Because then I just have like a little target to hit.
Absolutely.
and I'll do that before.
That would be my final thought. So the next session is going to be slightly longer next time because we've got a 3-week break now. So we'll be doing 3 sessions next time, and it'll be an hour and a half session is what we've got in the diary. So, but I will send all of that out in the email.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone. Can't wait to see you in 3 weeks' time. Actually, it will be Gabriel with Claire again in 3 weeks' time, because I'm on another call. But then I'll see you the following one, and I'll watch the recording back as well. And I really enjoyed it last time with all of you. But he'll be coming in from sunny Kenya for you. So well done, everybody. Great work so far. Loving working with you. And Happy New Year when it comes.
Yeah. Have a good
Happy New Year
Christmas.
to you.
Christmas.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye, the in-laws
Merry
and
Christmas.
Ho ho ho.
everything. Bye.
Got my Father Christmas ho 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 t-shirt on.
Oh, good.
All right, Carl, does that pass your
It does,
standard?
yeah. I've been picking at people in the office who haven't been wearing Christmas jumpers. So.
Mine's a bit more sedate, but hopefully it passes.
Yeah.
No, it's acceptable. Any form of Christmas jumper. Well done.
We're in your club, Carl. We're in
Yeah.
your Christmas jumper
Excellent.
club.
Good. Have a good one.
Have a
Take
good
care.
one, mate. Bye.
Bye. Bye.